Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. This is a podcast where we watch movies that we haven't seen yet. I will be your host today. My name is Betsy, and with me, as always, is Trent.
It's Hanksgiving, y'all.
It is Hanksgiving. We have reached our midway point of Actors series for Tom Hanks movies. We're entering the 2000s, so the last movie we did was kind of the start of his Oscar era.
His dramatic roles.
Now we are firmly embracing the Oscar status of Tom Hanks.
He has already won 2 Oscars by this point.
And we are now in, I don't know, nomination number whatever.
I have no idea.
Come the year 2000. We covered, I think the one before this was Saving Private Ryan. So we just recently watched that movie. And now we're into the 2000s, specifically the year 2000. And we are watching Castaway because I have seen this movie and my darling, dear husband Trent, in 23 years has never watched Castaway.
I have never seen it, no.
Why, Trent? My God.
I don't really have like a specific reason. If I were to think back to when it was kind of new and like, on TV, because they have shown this on television before. Like when ABC did their Friday night movies, this was on a lot.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday night movies in the early aughts.
And I know that my parents watched it back in the day, but I never did. And I think if I had to put one reason behind it, I thought it might be boring because it's one dude on an island.
Right, and not every actor is going to be able to pull that off, but we have to have some faith because it's Tom Hanks.
Right, and of course, I didn't pay attention to movies back then. I barely watched movies at all back then. Yeah, I knew the name Tom Hanks, and I knew that he was, a good actor, but I didn't know the legend of Tom Hanks, and the fact that he could probably carry any movie by himself. So I don't really have a good reason for it. I'm excited to watch it because I can't imagine it's going to be bad. I can't imagine it is going to be boring.
It is definitely not that, despite what you said. It is one man by himself most of this movie, because that's the whole point. But apart from that critical plot point, Trent, what do you know about Castaway?
I mean, he's in a plane crash and he is stranded on a desert island by himself for I have no idea how long. I also don't know how much time they're going to spend in the movie, because this movie is about 2.5 hours long, not quite. I don't know how long they're going to spend beforehand and after, because I know that he gets rescued. I don't know how he gets rescued. I don't know if he fashions a boat for himself and then goes off and finds another island or finds people, or if people find him on the island. I don't have a clue. But what I'm really curious about is how much time we spend on either side of this movie.
Not specifically on the island, but before and after he is on it.
Yes, that's really my question here.
Okay. Do you know any other, let's call them characters in this movie?
Wilson! Yes, of course I know Wilson.
You know Wilson.
I know Helen Hunt is his wife in this movie. And this is, of course, when Helen Hunt was very much in demand for a leading actress anyway.
She was coming off her Oscar win.
I don't know if she's going to be prominently in this movie, because I have to imagine they're not going to cut back and forth between him and the real world. It's going to be just him when he's on the island. But I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Any other tidbits, director, music, anything else that you've heard?
No, it's a Zemeckis joint. I know that much.
Yeah, I don't know if this was the first time he worked with Robert Zemeckis. It might not be, but I'd have to go back and double check.
We'll have to look into it. But yeah, I'm excited.
All right, well, let's do it. We're going to go watch Castaway, and we will be right back. We are back. That was Hanksgiving 2000. That was Castaway. Trent, what did you think of that?
You didn't tell me there was going to be tooth stuff in here.
There's tooth stuff in this. I'm so sorry.
That was a lot better than what I was expecting. In the intro I said, oh yeah, I didn't watch that because it was going to be boring. It's one dude on a desert island talking to a beach ball. What the fuck is he doing? I don't think I'm going to like this, but I really did. I kind of expected it to go a little bit more, I don't know, introspective, because it's one dude on an island and maybe he's going to talk to himself and, reconsider his life, but none of that happens in this movie.
No, he doesn't change fundamentally as a person.
No.
From the beginning to the end. He does have conversations with himself, but he has it through a vessel, and that vessel is Wilson.
Of course. It's his companion.
Yes. So he is alone on this island, and it is something where you have to have an actor the caliber of Tom Hanks to pull this off.
Yeah.
Because he's terrific in this movie.
Yeah, he fills every single scene with his presence. And it's a really hard thing to do, because when you as an audience member are looking at a screen, they're looking at one spot. You can only really look at one spot. And if the rest of the picture is nothing but a desert island and maybe some other stuff to look at, and you're not filling up the rest of that screen with your presence, then forget about it. You've lost your audience completely. But I was engaged the entire time. I knew exactly what he was doing, why he was doing it. And yeah, from front to back, this guy, I can understand why he got nominated for Best Actor in this.
Well, so much of what he's doing is subtle and internal, like just reactions.
Yeah.
There are so many moments where he is just quiet. He is on the island, picking stuff up, looking around.
He considers everything.
Yeah, you can see every thought he is thinking as it processes on his face.
Yeah.
And not everybody has a great expressive face the way he does.
I do. I have a very expressive face.
You do. And so I can look at you and I know what you're thinking.
Right.
But not everybody can convey that on camera.
Right. And there's so many other emotions that he is going through other than, geez, I'm stuck on a desert island. What to do?
No, he has fear and he has hope and he has pride and anger and sadness. Like he's on the whole roller coaster.
And jubilation when it came to the fire scene.
Yeah, this movie also has a lot of humor in it.
It does.
There are some really great moments where you are just joyous for him and with him. And it's very exciting and you're along for the ride. Every time he has a success, you're happy. Every time he has a failure, you're sad. Every time you get to see a glimmer of the really dark stuff, you're fucking devastated for what he is going through.
And every time he has to take one of his own teeth out, you are right there with him.
It's visceral, Trent. It's a visceral island experience.
And I think it's because there's such a lead up to it, because it's one of the first scenes he talks about, I need to go and make sure to remind me to talk to my dentist because I need to make an appointment and shit like that. And I knew from that point on there's gonna be a tooth thing, and I'm not here for that.
The most infuriating part about that is he was home. He could have gone to the dentist.
Yeah.
It could have been taken care of before he got on this plane.
Yeah, and of course it is also Christmas time, so you can't really inconvenience your dentist, or the dentist probably isn't even working that month.
If it's
anything like my dentist.
If it's an emergency,
sure,
they'll figure it out. He could find a dentist somewhere.
Also, he's got the money. Being a FedEx executive, which is, I think, what he was.
He has to travel around the globe and get their shit on track. Yeah, he's an important guy.
Yeah. But there's two things in movies and whatnot that I don't do well with. It's tooth stuff and eye stuff. Don't fuck with eyes on screen. I will look away.
Really, anytime it's kind of realistic medical something or other body stuff.
Yeah.
Like when he's trying to escape the island the first time and he's in his dinky little floating raft and he gets crashed against the coral reef and his leg gets fucking bashed in. And you're just like wincing and he's bleeding and it's in the water.
A lot of blood,
Yeah, and he never really recovers. Like later in the movie, when he's been on this island for 4 fucking years, you can see he's got this massive scar on his leg that he just never fully recovered from that wound. Now, there was that moment where he gets on this island, he's collecting the boxes. I love the fact that he keeps the boxes unopened because he is a FedEx employee first and foremost.
He's a company man.
He is a company man, and he keeps them for how many days or weeks before he finally is like, you know what? I'm going to be stuck here for a while.
I need to see what's in these fucking packages.
I need supplies. But that just tickled me on this viewing. The fact that he is such a company man. He thinks he can return these packages. I've got to get them delivered. Hell or high water.
Right. The board of directors would not take too kindly of me opening other people's mail.
That's a federal offense, Trent. Those guys with their videotapes and that little kid and his volleyball and the little girl with her ice skates.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting that shit anymore.
I had to look up those videotapes. I had to look up what, like, because it's all in Japanese or something like that.
It's not in English.
Yeah. And apparently... somebody said, if you look really closely, the text on those tapes basically say how to make money by selling trash.
Garbage?
Garbage, yeah.
That's a weird profession to choose.
I mean, it was before the time of Etsy, so...
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Or is another man's Etsy.
It's another man's Etsy. But he's on this island, and it is just filled one sequence to the next as we get to watch him, figure out how to fish, how to make fire, how to build his shelter. He finds a cave that he can live in. The best part about this experience for me was having seen this movie, I got to watch you have the same reactions that I had the first time I watched this. He's in the cave with his flashlight, and he's like, in his little pool of fresh water, and he falls asleep and the flashlight is still on. And you're like, he's gonna leave that flashlight on. I'm like, fuck, he's having the same Yeah, I had the same thought. Like, damn it, you need to turn the flashlight off and conserve that battery. No.
And we're also reading, I mean, just as long as we're talking about the flashlight, that, FedEx employment applications went up by like 30%. How many fucking mag lights did they sell after this movie?
How many volleyballs got sold because of this movie?
Totally.
One of the hottest costumes, I'm sure, of 2001, I suppose, 2001. By the time it came around.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the other moment that you were referring to where he bashes out his own tooth with a skate in his mouth.
Yeah, a skate, bashing it in with a rock.
Yeah, and I'm like, I know what's going to happen, and you're watching it happen.
Uh-huh.
But the best part is, after that, I was trying to remember how long are we in this time frame before the jump?
Right.
Because you had been asking... Well, okay, here's this divorce paperwork that washed up on shore, and it says December 1995, and you're like, well, that's weird. Why is it set in 1995?
Well, no, he wrote 1995 on the dead guy's grave.
Oh, that was it.
That's what it was.
That was the first time. But yeah, you said, what? Oh, that's weird. This is 1995.
Yeah, this movie came out in 2000. What the fuck?
Then he smashes himself with a skate and then cut to black.
And then he wakes up 4 years later.
And we wake up 4 years later. And you were genuinely surprised that he was on the island for this long.
Yeah, I expected him to be there maybe a year.
You were thinking a year.
Yeah.
Did you know, had you been familiar with how he presented himself all skinny? Like, Tom Hanks took a year off of this movie to go and lose a shitload of weight and grow his hair and grow his beard. So this is really what he looked like.
Sure. I did know that he did have the long hair. I know he got skinny, but, he did that literally in a year. So, would go to show you that, yeah, maybe he was on the island for a year. I had no idea it was going to be that long.
Ipso facto, if he can do it in a year, then it should take place in a year in the movie time.
Yeah.
No, it's 4 years he is on this island, which is an obscene amount of time.
And when you think about it, you can probably make an excuse saying, oh, he has these skates, he can shave himself, he can cut his own hair badly, but he can still do it.
He doesn't have a Daniel Radcliffe that can shave his beard with his
with
teeth.
His teeth.
for all of you who have seen Swiss Army Man, and if you haven't, you probably should.
One of the best movies we've covered on this show so far, Swiss Army Man. Go and watch that. I also, speaking of that, after he gets on the island... God. After he gets on the island, I should have said this a little bit later, but after he gets on the island, I said to Betsy, I wonder if this character really knows how to fart really well. He can get off the island pretty damn easily. But then he does actually find a dead guy.
He does find a dead guy. There's things about this movie that I wonder if they didn't influence other properties. So
100% they did.
Like watching Swiss Army Man, there are correlations that could be made between this one and that one. But the other one that I thought of more immediately was Lost, because this movie came out in 2000. And as we said in the intro, this was like a fucking phenomenon. Everybody, even if you didn't see the movie, you knew what it was about.
Wildly successful.
You knew about Wilson. And we were just reading the behind the scenes that the filmmakers wanted to make this movie because people's references to castaways, people stuck on a desert island, were Robinson Crusoe and Gilligan's Island, which at this point was, 30, 40 years removed. So they felt like there was room for a modern take on this concept.
Yeah.
And then they made this movie, which was really successful.
Yep.
And then 3 years later, Lost comes out. 4 years. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that J.J. Abrams looked at this and went, I could do a desert island thing.
I could do that, but really fucked up.
Really fucked up. Trent has never watched Lost.
No, but I know enough about it to know that I am not interested.
You say that, but I bet if I showed you a couple episodes, I could get you on board.
Betsy, if you showed me a couple episodes and I'm not walking out of the room, I would be very surprised.
I said the other day when we talked about this, 3 episodes. Give me 3 episodes and I bet you want more. That's the kind of show Lost is. And that's what this movie is, basically. Not in the Lost, fucked up, crazy island kind of way. But
There's no smoke monsters on this island that we know about.
No, but it is captivating. Like, you have just this guy surviving. And I think the time jump really helps it because you're like, wow, he has somehow mastered the art of staying alive here.
Yeah, one of the things that I wrote down that I thought was just, as a movie watcher, a consumer of media, when he first gets on the island, he is calling out, hello, anybody out there? I'm here, I'm stuck, whatever. In movies, in TV shows, in anything that you watch, you expect there to be an answer to that call out. Something, whether it be an actual person, an animal, a lightning strike, just something. But in here, there's nothing. And he does it multiple times. You expect as a film watcher that something is going to happen, and it never does.
No, they are really, really adept in this, demonstrating just how isolated he is.
Yeah.
The plane goes down and they show him in his little raft and you just keep zooming out and out and out because you have to remember how fucking massive the oceans on this planet are.
Sure.
There are just hundreds of miles of open water and nothing in between.
And when he's doing the math in the cave, he says, 500,000 square miles of water that they would have to search in order to find you.
A search area the size of the state of Texas.
Twice the size of the state of Texas.
Yeah, it's an obscenely large space that they would be looking for him, and they don't even know to look there.
Yeah,
They
totally.
have no idea that they were that far off track. They've never found the records. They've never found any evidence of what happened to this plane.
Right.
They just have to assume the worst because they haven't been seen again. But another moment that they demonstrate the isolation is the first time he climbs all the way to the peak. He gets all the way to the summit of this mountain and he is looking out and we get like the 360 and it is just fucking nothing.
Yeah, the vastness of nothing.
And there's no like animals on this island. There's no monkeys, no birds, no little critters.
Because it's too far away from everything. They can't fly there.
No, that is a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
A bird cannot get to this island because a bird cannot fly that far.
Yeah.
I had never considered that, but you're completely right. That's why there's no birds. They can't get there. So this man is that far alone. And the only time he has a glimmer is near the beginning. He sees a light way out on the horizon.
Right.
And that's what prompts him to get on his little boat the first time without a real plan.
No, he's panicking.
He's panicking. He's like, fuck it, get it, go.
Gotta go.
And I had missed the detail. I think the other times I've watched this, that he is he's certified to sail.
That's right.
Like, there's just a pan down in his apartment.
Yeah, and
where it
I
says,
called it out.
Yeah.
He is somehow certified in sailing.
I had no idea. I missed that every other time I've watched this movie.
And I have no idea why you would need that living in Memphis, but okay.
He likes it. It's to demonstrate he has a number of skills. And there's also all these other moments, like he has a fucking knife on his keychain of his car keys.
Right.
And he hands it back to her right as he's about to get on the plane.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'll be right back," which if you've ever seen a horror movie, don't ever, ever, ever say "I'll be right back."
BRB.
Because you'll end up crashing on an island or something. So speaking of the crash,
Yeah.
I definitely want to talk about this.
Yes.
This scene where the plane goes down is fucking terrifying.
It's intense.
This is an intense movie sequence. So what did you think of that? How did you feel as that was happening?
The one thing that I wanted to point out about this entire movie, not just this scene, and this is one of the two things that got nominated for an Oscar in this movie, the sound. It is not only the sound of, the ocean and him being on the island and all the island sounds and all of the different, sound effects that they have to put in there in post.
It's quiet on that fucking island.
Yes, it is. But in this scene, I was completely brought into this tiny box of an airplane. And I don't have any problem with airplanes. Like, even after watching this movie, I have no problem with getting on an airplane. A lot of people do. But you could just feel the smallness here because, like, so many different people are in that tiny space. And once things started to move around a lot, like that big-ass FedEx box that was kind of sliding back and forth, the creaking of the fuselage and the guys kind of panicking and things literally ripping apart. And after it crashes, you get all the water rushing in. And yeah, it was just completely intense, and I could not look away. It was really impressive.
That is probably the best sequence in this movie just because logistically that is difficult to do. And you're right, the sound is what sells it. So like he wakes up because there's turbulence and it starts really small. And then he goes to the bathroom and he's splashing his face. And then all of a sudden the fucking bathroom door rips off.
And he's sucked out.
And then it's just the sirens, like the noise, the little alarms are going off.
Yeah.
And everybody, there's like 3 pilots and they're all screaming.
Yeah, everybody's yelling, "Put your mask on, put your mask on, take your mask off, take your mask
off."
He's
handing him a raft and put on your life vest.
Right.
And you can just see a tiny bit out of the front windshield.
Right.
And all of a sudden you realize they're like going nose down basically into the water.
All of a sudden you can see the water.
And then on top of it, people are being thrown in the air and there's a guy bleeding on the ground and the stuff is sliding back and forth. And then he gets blasted by water to the back of the plane. Mm-hmm. And then the plane snaps in half, basically.
Yeah.
And then he's underwater as the plane is sinking to the depths.
Yeah, the plane is sinking down. He's holding on to his life raft. And all he has to do is pull the ripcord and it's going to shoot to the top after you put your arm inside her, I guess. And yeah, he's looking down as he is shooting all the way to the surface. And that's it. But the one thing that I wanted to point out here is, as he is surfacing, the engine is still on. You can hear it in the background, and he is right in front of it. Oh my God, that was really scary.
It's the sound. He's like under the water, and so there is no sound. You're just hearing bubbles. Yeah. And then it's the emergence as he gets to the surface.
Yep.
And all you hear is that hum of the engine. Mm-hmm. And then it starts on fire and explodes.
Yeah.
And all of this happens. It's an absolute cacophony in a matter of minutes. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the movie is fucking silent except for the sound of the waves and the falling of coconuts.
Yeah, it is silent, and the light also is completely gone because there's a storm happening and there's not going to be any kind of moonlight. So the only light that you see, especially when he gets onto the island, is the flash of the lightning. So you don't really get to see anything until the next morning. You know that he reached some kind of land. You don't know what kind of land, though.
No, you don't know if it's a tiny little baby rock.
Right.
Or if there's an actual island.
Or it could be, hey, it's California.
Yeah. Woohoo, you made it. Not quite. And another thing that you pointed out that it's easy to miss is the fact that there is no music. There is no score in this movie until he leaves the island.
Yeah.
Alan Silvestri is the composer in this movie. He does not have 1 second of music until that moment, and it's like the hero moment.
Yeah, it's the hopeful swell of music that he's finally getting off the island.
Everything else is just like Elvis Presley or whatever is playing in the background.
Right.
And that's really, really hard to resist that urge. Like, as a filmmaker, you want to score everything. Like, you want there to be music.
Yeah, you want to punctuate the emotional moments that he is having while by himself on this island. But you know what? He's a good enough actor. You don't need it.
And the other thing is, with a composer, the compulsion would be music is to enhance what we want you to feel.
Yes.
Like, it is a hero moment, so you're very grateful to have that music when he gets off of the island, because you're like, yay, he's off of that island. Maybe he's gonna survive. But when he's on the island, it just emphasizes his aloneness. And all you can do is feel what he is feeling. And if there was a score there, it might feel really, like, cheap, I guess. I don't know how
it might
would
cheapen the emotion that he is going through, because really, like, this guy, all he would be hearing is, yes, the sound of the waves and the ocean and the island and whatever else, but also his own thoughts. His thoughts are probably echoing in his mind the entire time, and the only way that he is able to get them out is, unfortunately, to talk to Wilson. You know?
So we got there at last. Wilson the volleyball. If anybody in the world knows anything about the movie Castaway, it is that he has a friend that is a volleyball.
Yeah.
And you had said, well, he has a face. I don't know if it's mud or whatever. It is blood.
Yeah.
He is trying to make fire, and his hands are raw from trying to rub 2 sticks together. And he cuts his hand, he's bleeding, and he, out of frustration, grabs the volleyball.
He freaks out, he grabs the volleyball and throws it because, yeah, you're right. He finally gets some tools that he can use to make fire, and, you know, he's an educated guy. He's able to do all that math. But yeah, he gets really frustrated because he can't do a very simple task like make fire. And
it's not a simple task.
By the time he actually does, yeah, I can see why you're going to have this massive, you know, swell of pride that you finally made fire. It is me! I made fire!
He does kind of go through these, like, caveman, primal human being phases where it's first like, I have to walk around and explore. And he figures out how to do a coconut. Then he makes tools. Then he makes fire. It's just this human evolution thing. And then he makes a boat. Like, by the end, he manages to make rope, and he makes a boat, and he gets off the island.
He fashions everything out of whatever rudimentary things that he has around him. And yeah, he has really good survival skills. It takes him a long time to get there, but he makes it.
It's the difference between thinking you're going to get rescued immediately, which is why he starts the simple things. He writes the word help in the sand, and then he makes a sign out of logs. But then once you start committing to the fact that you're not going anywhere, that's when he's like, okay, survival instincts. I need shelter, I need food, I need fire, because clearly I'm not going to eat this raw crap. This is nasty. And the way they show that, it was real gross. But by the end, he's just eating raw fish. Did you notice that?
Of course.
When they cut to 4 years later, he's just like staring into space, eating a raw fish with his bare hands.
Yeah, it's sushi.
Sushi.
Which I appreciate at the end when he has his party. There's sushi and crab legs there.
That was just...
I called that shit.
Okay. There is this weird thing that human beings do where they have to, like, make fun or make light of a serious situation.
Yeah.
And that is completely what they're doing. Like, he comes out of nowhere 4 years after they've all buried him. He's dead and gone. They have closed out his life. He doesn't exist anymore. You get a phone call that he's alive. So what do? You throw him a party with things that he would have on the island, because isn't it cute and funny?
Yeah. Also, it's your coworkers. They don't care that much about you.
It's so weird thing.
It's a weird, like, corporate mentality. And I want to talk about all the corporate stuff in a little while. But yeah, that scene bothered me in that way.
It's just, like, Why? Don't you have like empathy or your humanity and just maybe ease him into it?
Or maybe it's, oh, he likes seafood. Let's have some seafood. Clearly he does.
I would be getting, like, I want like fucking burgers and french fries and sweets. I want dessert.
The Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man.
I want the Tony Stark.
Give me a cheeseburger from Burger King.
Yes. I don't want more of the thing that is, I would never eat fish again.
Never.
I would never eat crab or fish again in my life. I would avoid coconut like the plague.
Yeah, even when he went over to Helen Hunt's house, she was talking like, oh, I got 1% or whole milk or whatever. And I just said, please, no coconut milk. But of course, it's 2000. They didn't really have coconut milk in stores then.
It wasn't as trendy.
Not in Tennessee.
No. And it's coconut water most of the time.
It's true.
Either way, he's done. He's over it.
Also, I hate coconut. I'm one of those people who I cannot stand any kind of coconut.
I only like it in certain qualities and quantities.
Yeah, and I have the kind of taste buds where if there's any speck of coconut in something, I'm gonna know.
You are missing out on the joy of the Girl Scout Samoa, but whatever.
I hate coconut so much.
Well, you said you wanted to talk about the corporate thing, so why don't you go ahead while we're on near that topic?
Yes, so he is a FedEx executive who I guess is in charge of all of the different like distribution centers around the country, and he's there to
around the world.
Around the world, and he's there to essentially crack the whip, for lack of a better word. Like, you need to operate on our efficiency. These are the new things that we have implemented across all of our other warehouses. This is how we get shit done. And he is there to motivate all of the workers. They're in Moscow, of all places. He goes to Moscow and is cracking the whip over there. And I guess he is just on call 24/7 in case there happens to be like why would he be on call for stuff like this? Like, he had to leave around Christmas time. And I understand FedEx being, very important around the holidays. You are shipping things to family members and it's a very big deal. I work in transportation, I know. But what I don't get here is why he would need to be on call for something. Like, is it a lack of efficiency at one of their plants?
It's a mail emergency trend.
I don't get it.
Well, I may be able to give you a little context because this starts in 1995. I don't think FedEx was the corporation we know today in 1995. So it might
they were and they weren't.
It might boil down to, in 95, every second counted. And they were really still trying to make a name for themselves on the global scale, at least.
Right, and they didn't have, I'm sure, a lot of the computerized logistics services that we have now.
They have a bunch of Russian guys in Moscow, like, in the streets sorting mail because the truck got a boot on it.
I wanted to also talk about the dinner scene at the beginning of the movie, because it's a bunch of FedEx, like current and former FedEx people. That scene seemed very familiar to me because I've been working in my job now for almost 13 years. I have seen a lot of different coworkers come and go, and on occasion we get back together and we like to talk about the old days and the current days because the old people want to know what the current life is like. So everybody coming together like that to talk shop is very interesting to me because that's kind of what they're doing here. Like, there's a guy at the table who it seems like they were there from the very beginning, because FedEx is actually headquartered in Memphis, so it would make sense that some of these people at the table were there from the very beginning.
They're the OG guys.
Yeah, they said, oh yeah, the first night or the first Christmas or whatever the fuck, they were able to sort and ship out 6 packages or something like that. Not 6 million, 6.
It was a different time, right, to say the least.
So a lot of the people that I started my job working with were there, who were already working there for 15 years. So I heard some war stories from way back in the day in the transportation world that are not anything that would happen today, and it's just interesting to hear the war stories from back in the day. But yeah, that scene itself was very familiar to me.
Well, the other thing that happens in that scene is this is the first time we get a good feel for the relationship that he has with Helen Hunt, because we haven't talked about the fact she's in this movie. So he and her, they're not married, They're
Yeah.
together for a long time. Basically, it's one of those situations where she had been married, she is now divorced, and she is not in any rush to get married
She's a
again.
little gun shy.
Correct. But they're at the dinner table and somebody says, so when are you going to make an honest woman of her? And they
Right.
both have a big joke. They're like, haha, set the timer. You know, it was 14 minutes. It took someone 14 minutes to ask them that.
That's something that we would do. Go into a party and being asked, so what's the next step?
Yeah, when are you going to get married? When are you having the baby? When are you buying a house? Like,
Right.
whatever the next thing is,
Right.
people cannot help but ask. Like, once you're married, it becomes immediately, what's the next thing? Or if you're dating,
Right.
when are you getting married?
Yeah, especially people who have been together forever.
And these two are clearly adults. These are not like 22-year-olds. These are like
Right.
30-something-year-olds.
Yeah, like she is about to do her dissertation. She's going to be a doctor of something. I think she was going to be like some kind of professor, or they didn't really go into what she is or what she was going after. But clearly she is well on in her education. She's about to be a very big thing. But then this happened and it completely gets derailed.
And they live together, and they have a
Yep.
car together, and they have their calendars. Like when he gets his beeper
Yeah.
goes off, and now they're like comparing notes. Like, okay, you have to be back on this
Synchronized
day.
calendars.
Yeah, that is a couple that has figured out the groove. They have
Yeah.
been together long enough that they have a routine.
And I'll say this, I mean, this is more of a relationship question, but clearly she is used to him being gone because they have kind of a shorthand when he like pulls out his beeper and shows it to her like very silently. She knows what that means. She knows that he's being called away by the whoever the powers that be are.
The boss is calling.
Yeah, and it's really shitty because this is right before Christmas time, and she says, well, can you make it at least by Christmas Eve? No promises. Well, how about New Year's Eve? Come on, give me something here.
Yeah, try to remember that you're in a relationship with me
And
make it work.
Maybe try to push back against your bosses and say no once in a while.
Some people do need to do that. They need to
Yeah.
practice the art of saying no because they think in corporate America, you have to always say yes. And in some jobs, unfortunately, that's the case.
Yeah.
But maybe don't work those jobs. You should quit that job. If you have to always say yes, you should definitely quit that job.
Yeah, he also really has a really nice house, though. So saying yes has got him all that. But my point here is these two have a thing where they probably don't even really hang out all that much. They don't see each other all that much. So it's not that big of a deal for him to be gone. And she's just kind of saying, you know, it'd be really nice if you could maybe be here for one of the holidays.
And then right before he leaves, they exchange Christmas gifts.
Right.
And she says, oh, my keys, give me the keys. You can't take the keys. I need to drive this vehicle away.
Yeah.
And he hands her a tiny box. And she literally says, I'm freaking out right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm panicking a little bit
Right.
because they hadn't really talked about next steps and
Right.
actually doing it. And the fact that we never see even inside that box.
Right.
Like, we know what's in the box. She knows what's in the box. And he basically hands her a ring and says, we'll talk about this later.
Right, and I can understand that, especially if she is really gun shy about that kind of thing, where he says, okay, don't open it until I get back on New Year's Eve. And that could be a celebratory thing.
You have a lot of time to think about this.
Right, like they have that knowing look about each other saying, you know what this is, I know what this is, we'll talk about it later, be right back.
Yeah. Son of a bitch, be right back. So he's on this island, and the gift he got from her was her grandfather's pocket watch, and she put her own picture inside of it.
Yeah, which I thought was really sweet.
And he's got it on the island, and it's one of two things that keeps him going. It's that, and then the box from the woman at the beginning of the movie.
He sees the wings on the box, and he thinks, oh, this is actually really special for someone. I'm not going to open this one.
He doesn't know why, but he doesn't open it.
Right.
But those are the two things he keeps on the island, and he gets off of the island, and he goes back to Helen Hunt, and of course she is married and she has a baby. And this part of the movie makes me so fucking sad because just imagine from either perspective, but
Yeah.
especially from
Yeah,
his.
let's talk about, yeah.
So he is on this island for 4 years, and he comes back and he's just like, surprise, bitches, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she has been told by people for years, you have to let go of him.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's not coming back. And she finally says, okay. And she moves on. And, they've closed out his life. His house or whatever is gone. His stuff is gone. The death certificates have been issued.
And she has been just collecting basically her hope chest.
Yeah.
It's all of the hope that she had that he was going to eventually come back. She said, I knew there was some chance that you were going to be alive. And I kept all this stuff. They told me to get rid of it. I didn't do it.
But it's the thing of... She says, I always knew you were alive. I always knew.
Right.
But if you always knew and you still moved on anyway, that's the thing that hurts my sensitive romantic heart.
Oh, Betsy's going after Helen Hunt.
No, it's the double-edged sword of it, because I completely understand why she moved on. But Trent, if you disappeared, if you were in a plane crash...
Yeah, different than just disappearing.
And 4 years later, you just show up. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
That is one of the most difficult things I think I've ever seen in a movie, because what do you do? Like, yeah, the romantic thing would be to just drive off with Tom Hanks and just go and live a new life, abandon your family.
But that's not life. That's not reality.
No, you have a life. You have already moved on. Whether or not you have it in your heart or not, you have moved on because you have committed to this other man. You have committed by having a fucking child with him.
Well, and you still love that guy too.
Of course.
It's just that Tom Hanks, his character was the love of your life. And she says that you are the love of my life. Fuck me, that is devastating.
But you know what? He is responsible enough to know this. He is pragmatic enough to know this, to say, you need to go home.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop you back off. You need to go back home to your family, to your life. That's not my life anymore.
And it sucks to be me, but also he gets, like, we get a closure because he goes to see his other friend. And he gives this really beautiful speech where he basically says, I had to let her go too, to some extent.
Yeah.
And this night has just rehashed all of it. But I know that life goes on and I have to go along with it.
Essentially, he says, she was there on the island with me. She was the thing that was really keeping me going, keeping me breathing. And it's what led me to here today. But then I just had to lose her again because it was the one thing to keep me going, to keep me breathing. Now I had to let that part of it go and lose her completely again and know that you're not going to get her back.
But he also doesn't need it anymore.
Right. He can breathe on his own. He can drink all the bottled water in the world.
And Dr. Pepper.
And Dr. Pepper.
Ice. Ice. Much ice.
I have ice in my drink. But yes, that scene was very impressive from an acting perspective because I noticed, I don't know if you were watching or not, but from the beginning of that scene all the way to the end, it's about 3.5 minutes, he blinks once. And it's only when he kind of turns to his friend and he has another, like, separate thought. And that's a really impressive thing to do. I know a lot of actors train themselves not to blink during long scenes, but wow.
I don't know how you learn to do that. Because the more I think about not blinking, the more I'm like, blink, blink, God damn it, blink.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that the sentiment is really present in that scene where, you know what, I basically died on that island and I came back to life. And I have a completely other life, but he needs to take care of himself. He can't expect to just hop right back into his life, there's more corporate stuff that I want to talk about here because at that party, all of them are just talking like, oh yeah, tomorrow we're going to bring you back to life. You're going to get back to work. What the fuck kind of a thing is this?
Listen, there is a certain appeal to the concept of not having to work for 4 years, but you come back, you must rejoin corporate America, Trent. You don't get to just rest on your laurels.
Tom Hanks' inbox is overflowing.
We deleted your email, but we can reinstate it. We gotta make responses. But genuinely, how do you come back from this? You have been declared legally dead.
Yeah.
Your death certificate was issued. Your social security is cut off. Your 401k has been given to somebody in your family. Like all of these things that have to happen when somebody dies.
Yeah.
And then you're not dead.
And even one of the guys says, oh yeah, a whole bunch of paperwork to bring a guy back. Didn't even say from the dead, just bring him back, which is to say, hey, maybe you quit and you got rehired. That's essentially what happened here.
Yeah, they're all like excited you're back and now you can help deliver packages again.
Betsy, he left without giving 2 weeks notice. It's
didn't.
gonna be a hard hard sell to the bosses to bring him back.
He's in the very least gonna get written up for that.
But yeah, just the idea that
four years unpaid vacation.
all of them are collectively saying, hey, it's great to have you back. Great to have you back. No mention of, hey, maybe you should talk to some people. Maybe you need to start therapy.
Why don't we go and get you to a doctor instead of a press conference?
Right.
Maybe we take that approach first.
Did you also notice, like, they had these screens on in this, like, executive break room or whatever the fuck it was? They had screens on with people on the TVs talking about him. Was this like some weird FedEx propaganda that they were showing?
I don't know. Like outside, it's a weird scene because the plane he probably came in on is behind him. And then there's a sea of people.
Right.
And then he is in the room. But then they're showing on the TV the stuff that was just happening behind him.
Right.
It's really bizarre.
Like I said, it seems like a weird kind of FedEx propaganda thing because it's like him returning from, winning the Super Bowl, which I got to talk about NFL stuff in a minute, but it's him coming back from like beating the opposition, him up there like getting the key to the city, and then what? He's by himself in a room and the husband comes in?
That's it though. That's it. They're all excited to see him, and everybody like cheers and says, congratulations, you're still alive.
Right.
And then they go about their business.
Why
and
would
he is left alone again.
And why the fuck would he care about seeing his goddamn coworkers? Seriously. I like my coworkers just fine, but if I get back from a desert island 4 years ago, the last thing on my mind is saying hello to my desk buddy.
No, you're like, where is my family? Get me some food.
Right.
Where am I gonna live? You suddenly become very concerned with real life.
Yeah, I want to see my cats. I want to see my lady friend. I want to have a hamburger, and then we'll see about maybe catching up with the friends.
And the job.
The last thing on my mind is a fucking job.
No, I don't want to go back to work. I'm suing FedEx. I want a settlement for 4 years lost of my life.
There you go.
None of this wouldn't have happened if it weren't for you bastards.
You called me on Christmas Eve. I quit. You brought me back just so I can quit.
Formally, he should quit. There was no signed resignation.
That's right.
All right, well, you touched on it, so you wanted to talk about football because he comes back 4 years later, and there's some things that have changed.
I love when he walks into the room, and number one, she's completely fine with all of it. She's like giving him a big hug. It's like, come on in, like it's been nothing. Like it's nothing.
Because again, like you said, she's used to him being gone. This is a little more extreme than she's used to.
Yes.
But she was used to it.
But the question I have is, how else do you begin a conversation like that? So what you been up to? How's the family?
So you've got a baby, huh?
So what's that about? What's your daughter's name? Who won the Super Bowl the last 4 years?
Do you like fish?
No. So the question is, I hear
I want to be completely clear about one thing.
Right. So we have a football team now, but it's not in Memphis. It's in Nashville? What's that about?
He breaks the ice because
it is an icebreaker.
That is an awkward situation.
And then like she's like very matter of fact, like, oh yeah, we almost won the Super Bowl last year. It was very exciting. We came within a yard of winning the game.
They were the Oilers, and then they moved here, and now they're the Titans.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, that's true. That really happened.
It was a really good game. I remember that.
I mean, I probably watched it, but I didn't really care. I was there for the commercials in that year.
Right. Yeah. That far back, sure. But yeah, I just don't know how else you start up that conversation. Like, are you going to talk about, all the stuff that you had to do. I mean, he's not going to talk about it in the movie because we, the audience, just saw it.
Yeah, he's not going to say, I tried to kill myself.
But he does say that.
To his friend. He doesn't tell her that.
Yeah, not in that situation. Like, because the last thing that he wants to do is cause her any kind of emotional pain of, like, having her live through that terror that he must have had while on the island.
That is his lowest moment.
Yeah.
So the other thing we haven't talked about yet is the other box. So he has one box. The first person we're actually introduced to in this movie is a nameless woman making art in her barn, and she has these boxes with wings painted on them, and we watch the box from the box's perspective as it is delivered to her husband, who is cheating on her in Russia. Like, if you didn't catch that, that's what's going on there.
I did not catch that.
Which is why at the beginning it says Dick and Bettina, and at the end it just says and Bettina.
There's no dick there.
No.
Oh, fuck. Okay, now I get it.
The guy that the box is delivered to, he says, it's just from my wife.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Okay.
So we're introduced to her, and then later on in the movie, the plane crashes, and this box washes up, and this is a thing, you know, stuff gets dropped out in the ocean all the time, and the tides just take it wherever.
Sure.
And the way he went, it makes sense that other stuff would head his direction as well. That's just the current of the stream where he is. And he's picking up all these boxes, and for some reason, this one with the wings, he decides not to open. And at the end of the movie, he actually packs this box up. He is determined that that sucker's going back to the source. And he drives all the way to Texas and goes to her door and leaves the package.
While playing Elvis Presley, Return to Sender.
It's very on the nose. He loves Elvis. He lives in Memphis.
It's a little bit too on the nose.
And he leaves it at her door because nobody is there.
Yep, this box saved my life.
This box saved my life. Here's a note. And he runs into her at the crossroads, but he doesn't know it's her.
Of course.
What do you take from that? How do you interpret why he doesn't open this box? It doesn't matter what's in the box. And the fact that he meets her at the end the way he does. Like, how do you feel about that whole thing?
I feel like the reason why he did not open the box is because it had that little design on it, and he is fixated on it for the entire 4 years he's been on this island. It is a piece of art that someone clearly made, and this person has some kind of, you know, artistic skill, and it's maybe something that he can hold on to that, you know what, if I get to my lowest point, even lower than what he was, I can maybe open this box and maybe see something pretty because this person put something pretty on the outside of the box. So clearly something inside is going to be even better.
And he goes to the extent that when he has his sail, his porta potty sail, he paints the wings on it.
Totally. And that's why I said he is fixated on that little piece of art that so far that he puts it on his sail.
Do you think it's a little more literal in that it's like angel, like
it's
a guiding light, a freedom,
I would
symbolic?
say it's more of a freedom thing, yeah. But like talking about, you know, he's at the end of the movie and he's literally at a crossroads. And
he is.
He could go to Canada, he could go to Mexico, he could go to California, he could go home to Memphis, or he could go fuck the pretty wing lady.
Well, they leave it ambiguous at the end. He watches her go down the road and she's got the same wings painted on the back of her car, and he realizes who that was.
Of course.
And he is just left watching her go, and it fades to black. But it's that whole thing of symbolic freedom. Like, he literally could do anything now. His life is an open book, and he can go this way, that way. It doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter. What do you actually think happens? Because I have my opinion.
I have no idea what happens at the end of this. I assume it's just as simple as he keeps on living. It doesn't matter where he goes. He just keeps on living. Because he gives that speech when he went up to try to kill himself on the island. Him being him, couldn't just do it. He had to test it.
You got to analyze everything.
He analyzes everything, and he makes all this rope. He spends all this time doing it, and he throws a log off, and the tree snaps. So he's actually really glad he didn't kill himself, because it probably would have been a horrible, slow, and painful death.
Right.
But that's the moment that triggers, I'm supposed to live.
I have to keep breathing
I have
somehow.
to keep going. And so at the end of the movie, he's got this gift of life and he can just keep living it.
Yeah.
It might not be great. He might not get everything he wanted because he's lost the love of his life. That doesn't mean he can't keep going.
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
But I'm more thinking about what path does he take? Because honestly, I don't think they set this up in this way by taking the dick off of the sign and her being very friendly and very pretty and him having a fixation on the wings and the art. I feel like he turns that car around. At the very, very least, he goes there and he tells his story to the lady.
He talks to her.
He talks to her because maybe that's all he really needs. And I don't know what he needs at this point. I have no idea how much time has passed since he left Memphis. I don't know if he's already gone through therapy. I don't know if he's ever going to, but I feel like at the very, very least, he's going to go and talk to this lady and tell his story to her because it seems like she doesn't have much else going on and is very single.
Well, and maybe it's just destiny. You know, he had 2 things keeping him going on the island. Mm-hmm. One of them wasn't meant to be. Maybe this is the person he's supposed to be with. Maybe not. Maybe they are supposed to have this moment in time.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not supposed to meet at all. Maybe they're supposed to have this deep connection that transcends like logic.
Right.
But maybe not. I don't know.
I tend to believe that he is going to go back there. They are at least going to be friends because of this whole thing. And he can ask a bunch of questions saying, hey, what do you actually do here? Number one, what's in the fucking box? Show me what's in the box. I've been fixating on this for at least 4 years. I need to know what's in the box.
But that's you. You're an inherently curious creature.
Oh, yes.
You need to understand how things work. You need to know what's in the box.
I do.
You have to have it. You would have opened the box. If you were on that island, I think you would have opened it.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to get into, like, okay, what would you do if stuck on a desert island? Like, we could have an entire podcast length discussion about what we would do on a desert island. I would die. Seriously, I would die.
I don't have any skills. I don't have any know-how. I'm just gonna die.
I'm just gonna
die. Lay down and let the water take me.
Maybe this is a shorter conversation than what we thought. But no, I think I have the romantic opinion that, yes, they're going to have something. I don't know what it's going to lead to, but there's going to be something there.
All right. Well, I think that's where we're probably going to leave that conversation. Do you have anything else before we wrap this one up?
I think I've said pretty much my piece here because, again, there's so many different roads that we can go down here, no pun intended. The movie itself is a very unique thing. Like they were saying, that there really isn't anything like it. And since the movie has come out, there have been at least a couple of different properties that we've already kind of mentioned here that put their own take on it. But you know what? Not a lot of people have actually gone out there and made a traditional quote unquote, stranded on a desert island tale.
This is it.
There still isn't any more of these out there other than the comedic take with Swiss Army Man and the fucked up take with Lost. And that's a group of people too.
Well, and any time you would do that now, all that they would say is, well, that's just Castaway.
It's just Castaway. It's been done.
It's been done now.
Yeah. But yeah, bravo to Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, anybody else involved. Holy shit. I'm very impressed by this movie. It's awesome.
And Tom Hanks has said this is one of his favorites that he has done.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we decided that this was the one for the 2000s.
There's a lot of different options we could have had for the 2000s, but because we still hadn't watched Castaway, it just had to be. It just had to be.
It was destiny. Like the box that led him to the woman that he may or may not be fucking. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Hanksgiving. If you love Castaway or any other Tom Hanks movies, we would love to hear from you. Email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We don't have any emails today, but that doesn't mean you can't send us one for the future. Once again, that email, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us and send us a message directly or comment on any of our posts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even Blue Sky.
Blue Sky?
Yeah, if you're on Blue Sky, we would love to see you there. It's a newer platform,
It's
so...
what all the kids are using.
Sure. But Hanksgiving continues on. We are at our halfway point now. Our next one is going to take us into the 2010s. And guess what, guys? Tom Hanks, once entering his Oscar era, has decided to stay there firmly because we are doing yet another movie he was nominated for. We are going to 2013 to Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips, he cannot stay away from the water people. 3 movies in this series, he is either on a beach or around water.
It's not something we intended, but here we are.
Here we are.
But yes, Captain Phillips is our next Hanksgiving stop. We've got a couple more episodes of other movies on Sundays for our regular episodes, so stay tuned for those. But until then, this has been another episode of Never Seen It. My name is Betsy.
My name's Trent.
And we will see you next time.
See ya.